Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Image Bearers. I hope everyone is having a good day. My name is Lacey, and today we have a fantastic guest, Miss Kathleen, over here. She has gone through some pain with a purpose and then also started a beautiful community and foundation, you would say?
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Absolutely.
Before we start, though, I'm going to do a little prayer. Hopefully you do not mind. For everyone else, here we go. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day, Lord. Although it may be cold right now, Lord, we thank you for this wonderful studio and for the people here. Lord, we just thank you for Kathleen today, who came and to tell her story and to tell that she had pain, but she made it into a purpose, Lord, and that you used her story to help other people, Lord. We know that you are kind, you are loving, and you are sovereign, and that we are all made in your image, Lord. So we are made with dignity and worth, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Kathleen, give us a little job, intro synopsis of you, and then we'll get deeper into who Kathleen is
Okay.
and your little mission.
Yes. So I'm Kathleen Jeffers. I met my husband when we were seniors in high school. So we've been
Okay.
together for a very long time. We're coming up, I guess, more than half our lives now. So a long time.
All right.
We got married, decided we wanted a family. So started having children and started with our daughter, Lila, who is 8.5. And then we had Scotty and then Jackson, who's now 4. And he's wild. He's something else.
Yeah, that 4-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I have a 5-year-old, but he was 4, and they're just all over the place. Especially
Oh my gosh.
Lila, girls are just more there's more chill, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And they'll do stuff.
Yeah.
You'll be like, let's do this, let's do that. Where boys are just burn it down.
Yep. They have their own plan, own agenda. That doesn't really include most of us for most of the day.
Right. I know before I left to do this, my son just used our whole couch to make a fort. And this all happened in probably 10 minutes, maybe. I don't know. I was getting ready. He seemed cool. We left him with some Disney movie, him and his sister. His sister sat there while he just messed up because we have 3 couches, 3 different kinds, and so it makes a U.
Yeah.
And he just used all those and built a fort. And then he was just sitting on top of all of them. But it was to the point where we were just it is what it is.
Yep. You got to let them be.
Right. And they're creative with their fort.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a mess, but it's fine.
Right. It's their mess. Plus, it's it gave you time to get ready without one of them being like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that?
Exactly.
I was able to put my makeup on fully without being interrupted. So I was like, you know what? It's a trade-off.
You be you.
All right. So you say you've been with your husband for a while. Are you almost to the status where you've been Jeffers longer than you've been your original maiden name?
No,
okay,
not yet. No.
Right. I know, isn't that crazy? There'll be one day when you'll be known as that name before. Besides your original name, which is, it's a crazy thing.
Yep, it is crazy.
Right.
It's interesting.
So, Kathleen, when you came in here, I was telling you that I was Instagram stalking you and then your foundation, which is Scotty Michael's Foundation. And I noticed that in this, people can now see you, so they see how beautiful and how loving you are. But with Instagram, I noticed that you had, I don't know, I would say you're intentional, but you also have this, you went through, we'll get into what, you went through and stuff, but you went through a scenario where a lot of people, I feel like something like that, you're like a fork in the road where you could take that pain and you can sit on it and marinate on it, or you can use it to help others. And both people, saying that, people grieve different and stuff. So I'm not trying to call people out who have lost someone, and then there will be a time, and it takes people different times to do stuff. But I noticed in the Instagram you just create this community, and in this community you've used your pain for a purpose. I'm trying to see where I'm getting with this. And you create a community. What in your life do you feel like there's anything before you had your loss that helped you, a hardship that you were I went through this and this helped me with when Scotty was born?
No.
So okay, Scotty was the first one.
Yep. Yeah.
I would not have thought that from what you put on Instagram and stuff, because it seems that with this, you were like, you're on a mission. Like, I felt like something had happened in your life or something but this is the first time.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, it took losing Scotty to realize kind of what, some of our purpose was.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we have always, both my husband and I have always had intent to be there for other people.
Okay.
So I think, experiencing this and knowing what we went through and knowing, kind of the journey we had, we wanted to be able to walk alongside other people that would experience something similar or the same situation. So I think it was more just out of our heart wanting to make a change for others.
Well, that's beautiful. Like both your husband, I mean, you and
Oh,
your husband.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you roll your eyes. Maybe even your husband's a little more.
I mean, my husband in the hospital, it was, we hadn't even left yet. And, I was just like so distraught and like so just like in this grief bubble. And my husband was like, we've got to make something come of this. We have to do something. Like this can't end here. And,
Right.
I was like so
right.
just like whatever.
Yeah. Well, you were still grieving. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just, in the thick of it. We were in the hospital. But I'll never forget him saying that. And just, he had insight to this and saw something that I couldn't even wrap my head around yet. So yeah, he was a huge driver.
Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, that's like, I feel like he's very, I don't know, in touch with his emotions, or like he was like, there's a purpose for this. Like
Yeah.
normally I feel like it takes people a few times, like a few months, maybe a year, 2 years. But he was like, no, my son was here for a purpose. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to tell us the story of Scotty?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
perfect. But yeah, so before you get started, I learned of you. I saw, well, actually, first time I worked at the hospital where Scotty was born, and I was just, doing my nursing thing, taking care of patients, and then someone was like, "Hey, can you go to the elevator to meet the person for Scotty boxes?" And I was like, "I don't know what those are," but I was like, "Yeah, sure." And the thing was, at that same time, I was taking care of a bereavement patient, so I was like, "Oh, I was like." So I walked in. I don't know if I met you. I met a woman at the time. You get in the mindset, like I already had two patients. One of them was a bereavement patient. One of them was just a new admit. So I was having both of them. So I was kind of just like, okay, I'm grabbing these boxes. I'm doing this. And then once I sat down and actually processed like what it was just given to me, someone was like, oh, yeah, no, that's for bereavement patients. And I was like, oh, well, color me happy. I have a bereavement patient. And this is like perfect I have no clue what's in the boxes. So I'm assuming you're going to share what's in them. But I gave it to her, and she was in the bereavement patient. The baby was just just born, and she was laying on, mom's chest and stuff. And so I was just like laid there, and I was like, laid the box there. And I was like, hey, when you feel up for it, like this could be before you leave or anything, no rush. I just want to give this before I forget or anything and stuff. And then I came in the next day because I worked 3 in a row for that patient. And I think it was day like that night or something. She looked into it and she was like, thank you, whoever did this. Like this just helped me so much, just take me out of, the funk I was in for a little bit. And I don't know exactly what's in the box. She didn't even tell me. She just told me it helped a lot. And it took her out of the funk and she was able to eat breakfast.
Oh.
That's all I got. So then so I was like, my mom was like, this is beautiful. So then I talked to the nurses and they told me about your foundation and told me about you and stuff. And then I was just so like, anytime I had bereavement patients, I wouldn't say like affinity, but like, I just like to be there for people in hard times. And even though most of the time I don't even say anything, I just sit there and just like, if you need anything, if you need water, if you need a new gown, if you need a hairbrush, like just let me know like what I can do. And most of the time I just spend the rest of the time like taking pictures of the baby, making little stuff. And it's I think also what the women don't understand too is that we like, as labor and delivery nurses or where we like work, like we love doing that. We love like commemorating your child. Because to us, your child lived. Like he or she was there. This is, like, so we are going to if we were to a baby that was, alive, we would still we actually do a little bit more because we make bracelets and stuff. But like, we're still going to celebrate because to us, that was alive. Like,
Yeah.
And we may not been able to, like be there or like, but it's pretty much a whole unit thing. Like the whole unit supports us. And I think I also just love that it gives you ladies and husbands and fathers give us like an avenue to serve you guys, not just, delivery wise, but we get like the secretaries, all like a whole bunch of people that normally don't get to help the patients get to.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah. So yeah, I appreciate what you do. All
Oh,
right.
good.
With that being said, I guess now you could tell us about Scotty.
Yeah. So Scotty is my second. I had Lila, perfect pregnancy, I mean, you could write a book and it would be boring because it was like the most
Aw.
basic labor, everything. And she was perfect. And so when I got pregnant with Scotty, we were extremely excited because Lila was 2, a little over 2, and we're like, this is perfect. They're going to be a great age apart, and this would complete our family. So again, like Lila, my pregnancy, the doctor even said, I think at my 20-week appointment, was textbook perfect. It was so boring. There was nothing going on. He was growing. He was perfect. It wasn't until my 28-week appointment, I was a little over 28 weeks when I went in, where things obviously drastically changed. So I had noticed a change in his movement, but had chalked that up to him getting bigger, and I was getting further along in my pregnancy. So, I wouldn't feel him be as active, which could not be further from the truth that I've learned along, post Scotty's pregnancy. So I went in, and that's like the first thing I told the doctor was just that I'm noticing some changes in his movement. And, he told me, this is a time now where we need to really start monitoring his movement. So like, let's just do a listen.
Yeah.
So, he put the Doppler on, and there was just nothing. The only sound I could hear was my own heartbeat, which, gave me false hope because I thought maybe
Right.
that's his. But, obviously that wasn't the case. So we went over, we did an ultrasound where then they did confirm that Scotty had passed. And it just like, I just remember saying, "Oh my god, oh my god." Like, I was just in shock. And, this doctor had recently lost his grown son, but I'll never forget him just holding my hand and telling me, like, "I lost a son too, and I'm so
Oh,
sorry."
yeah.
And just having that, that moment there of humanity between patient and doctor where, he just gave me that assurance that, my son did matter just as much as his did.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to do that. So from there, I was taken back to my room and I was alone. My husband wasn't with me. So we call my husband. He's coming. Nurses and doctors are coming in and out just to check on me. I remember one nurse popping in and just being like, I don't know why I'm crying, but I'm so sorry, and
Right.
that I was like, why wouldn't you cry? Like, this is a
Right.
sad thing. Like, it's okay. Like,
We always feel like we need to be strong for the person. Whereas then you'd be like, oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
where the
fine."
patient just wants that, like, that recognition and that connection. So, from there, it was just, a blur of everything. My husband finally got there. We made the decision to come back, and I would then deliver Scotty and be induced. So we left. We went back home. Our parents met us there, and we just kind of waited for the clock to get to 6 p.m. when we would go back to the hospital and be admitted. So it's just that whole process, and just knowing, having my daughter and having been there and knowing what, how much excitement is behind a new baby and,
Right.
this fulfillment of bringing this little life home, and knowing that we were not going to get this with Scotty when, from the sign of a positive pregnancy test, we had already envisioned what our life was going to look like with these 2 babies. So it just like rocks your world. And up till that point, I didn't even know stillbirth was a thing. I was like,
Right.
I knew of miscarriage. I thought once we got past that first trimester, like, we're golden. Like, those are the weeks we need to worry about.
Yeah.
And then from there, we're having a baby. Like, that's all we have to worry about. We have to worry about bringing this baby home. So going in and checking in, and it was, I'll never forget the room being so dark. Typically the bed warmer's on and there's life in the room.
Right, yeah.
And I just remember feeling just surrounded by death. I felt, I had this baby that had died inside of me, this baby that I wanted so badly,
Right.
and for whatever reason could not bring home. And then to be in this dark room, knowing that I was going to have to deliver this baby and, still go through the process that I would with, a living baby.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like such a mind game.
Right, yeah.
And there's no way to prepare for it. And I think that was just like the ultimate shock. And up until this point, I hadn't experienced grief. I hadn't experienced loss to this magnitude.
Yeah.
And it rocked our world. So it was shattering.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry the room was dark and stuff. Right? Like,
Well,
I know,
I
but
think
those
it's
small
just
things and
yeah,
stuff.
and I think it's just, people don't know what to do.
Right.
Even, the medical staff was great, but I think it's like they're trying to, also walk a line of you're still on a labor and delivery unit where there is life happening.
Right, yeah.
And you're the one, that,
Oh, yeah.
it's not happening.
Right.
So it's a unique experience. It's heartbreaking. And, the nurse that I had that night, though, I have met with her after, and she was just an angel. She helped guide us through it. She helped to set some of those expectations of what to expect.
Mhm.
We were both, me especially, very scared. Like, what would Scotty look like? Like,
Right.
and no one can assure you. No
Yeah.
one can tell you these things. And that's all you want. You just want to be assured. You just want to know.
Mhm.
Because at this point, everything you did know no longer exists. And you're thrown into this new world that is just so confusing. And it's just hard to wrap your mind around.
Right. No, I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, I've taken care of a lot of families that have lost children, and it's hard. I can imagine most of the time when people ask me, when nurses that have to take care of bereavement patients, they're like, "What do I do?" I'm like, I don't know. Just ask them. I mean, like the thing is, everyone deals with grief different. Everyone approaches the situation different. So you don't really
Mhm.
us as a nurse, we don't know like what the patient, how they're going to grieve and stuff. So most of the time people don't know. I'm just always just like, I mean, just be like, what can I do for you? That's the question that if you don't know what to say, just ask, what can I do for you? And do you think that is a good for nurses that take bereavement patient, like that do bereavement, or even like people you meet, like at the hospital or out? Like, what do you think is the best way? I mean, like for you, because everyone
Mhm.
is different.
Right,
Right? That's
exactly. Yeah.
preference it that way. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
What in the hospital? Let's just do with the hospital, and then we'll go on to like what they do. I'm not going to do what they did wrong, but what they do like right or gave you comfort.
Yeah, I think, both my nurse and my doctor, which my doctor was just amazing, and we went on to have a relationship afterwards. But I think they were just human about it.
Right.
They were devastated with me. I remember my nurse literally like just taking care of me in the most infant way,
Right.
like I was her baby in that moment. She was so motherly, and I just remember her assuring me, that I did everything right, because that's another thing, you're
Right.
battling. It's like, what did I do wrong? How did it's my body carrying this baby. So just the assurance that like I did nothing wrong. I could not have prevented this.
Right.
I was so angry at myself and thought I deserved, I held off on my epidural because I was like, I deserve to feel this pain
Right.
because, like, for whatever reason, this is my fault one way or the other. And I just remember her just like cradling me and just like telling me, like this isn't your fault. Like you need to take care of your body. And like she pushed me to get that epidural, just things
Right.
that like she was just so sweet and so kind, and also treated Scotty like a baby
Yeah.
because he is our baby.
Yeah.
And she very much didn't downplay the situation and was very much sitting with us in our grief.
Mm-hmm.
And she took the approach of just caretaker. So, and educator, like she, taught us about the cooling cot and let us
Yeah.
make that decision if we wanted it or not, and didn't push us one way or the other. So she was she was just great.
All right, that's good. I'm glad
Yeah,
to hear it.
yeah.
That's such a great, being a nurse and stuff and hearing that and stuff, because
Mhm.
you can go either way, because
Yeah.
you guys are in such a, like, a vulnerable, like, situation, and it's
Mhm.
just, like, people are afraid to say something and stuff. I'm glad that I would say, like, one, comforted you, but also stepped up and be like, "One, this is not your fault." But as moms, we just think everything's our fault, so I can only
Yeah.
imagine, like,
Yeah.
being amplified even more, where it honestly isn't your fault.
Yeah.
It's something. I know I say in pregnancy, ignorance is bliss. Like, when you
Oh my gosh, it is.
right. It is.
Yeah.
But most of
Yeah.
the stuff in pregnancy, like, it is, like, you just don't know, and it's not your fault.
Mhm.
It's just, stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
And mostly in bereavement, I think there's, like, a 50-50% chance you won't find out. Actually, I always think it's higher that you're not gonna find out, because I think I've only had one patient in when I did bereavement that actually figured out, like, why she had a loss. Were you able to find out for Scotty, or is it just
My doctor's, pretty positive, but there's no confirmation in what happened as
yeah,
far as a placental abruption.
okay,
I had no symptoms leading up to it. So typically with a placental abruption, you'll have some pain and some
mhm,
bleeding,
yeah,
and there will be some things to alert you that, hey, something's off. I had none of that. But I think, with the autopsy, I don't know what
yeah,
they
yeah,
did.
we do, yeah,
Yeah, they were able to potentially chalk it up to that,
mhm,
but not being definitive in an answer. So,
alright,
yeah, so
right,
that's what we left with,
yeah,
and that's hard too because then
right,
you want to, you're all about planning in your own head as well. Like,
right,
this was perfect. We were going to have Scotty and he was going to complete our
mhm,
family. And Lila's 2 years older. They were going to be close in age. So, like, when we lost Scotty, it was like, well, that's all gone now. And now I don't even know what our future looks like. Will Lila be an only child? Will we be able to have another
alright,
baby? And so, not having those answers kind of plays into this whole game of wanting to plan, but not being able to plan because the future is just so unknown.
yeah. So, with us talking about that, how did you work through those feelings? You're like, "Where do I start?"
Yeah. Well, I did. I got myself some counseling afterwards,
Alright,
and that helped a ton. Just being
mhm,
able to work through and like talk to someone who could rationalize, because your brain also just goes to places that aren't rational at all
I bet
times.
so, yeah,
So sh just talking with her helped. We talked about future pregnancies, and she, if you get pregnant again, it's a different pregnancy, a different baby. Like, you can't assume that what happened to Scotty is going to happen again.
right,
So just trying to get your mind in a place where you are ready to
yeah,
potentially talk about having another baby. Because for a while I was like, I can't go through this again. Like, I will not survive it. I There's just no way. So I think it's just a lot of prepping yourself and getting the courage to potentially think that you're ready to have another baby. And for us, that took over a year.
mhm. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I would think so too. It could be
Yeah.
longer. I would be like, "It took 10 years." I'd be like,
Yeah.
"That sounds fine too." Yeah,
Right.
anything,
There's no
like,
time frame on
there
any of
is
this, and
now.
like you said, everyone's different, and the doctor also helped. I mean, she told me I couldn't have another baby for a year. Like, I
Right,
just delivered a baby.
that's valid. That's
So there
okay.
was that
Okay, Kathleen, I got
too.
some. But
Yeah.
therapy, that's, beautiful, and I think it's also very, like, I feel like a lot of people feel like they can just take it on themselves and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, this is such a unique loss
Mhm.
where, some people don't recognize it as like the magnitude of loss like a lot
Right.
of us moms feel about it. It's so odd. It's odd to me how we celebrate pregnancies and we celebrate these babies and, their life. But then when we lose a baby, it's like people's heads spin. It's just like, I don't know if they think like the baby just goes, anywhere, but like the thought that like you even have to deliver this baby and still go through the same process and
Right.
hold your this is still your baby.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't, things don't change because the baby has died. Like there's
Yeah.
still this process you have to follow. So I lost track of what your question even was.
I don't know. I don't either. All I know is but yeah, where were you? How did you come about being able? How long did it take you to be able to talk about it?
I wanted to talk about it right away.
Okay.
I wanted to connect with other moms. Again, I felt so alone and so isolated in this event that I just needed that connection. I needed to know that I wasn't alone. I needed to know that other moms have walked a similar journey, and I needed to hear that me too.
Right.
So I instantly, the moment we left the hospital, started outreach. I tried connecting with I tried finding the counselor. I tried connecting with other hospitals and finding out like who can I go talk to.
Right.
Luckily one of the nurses directed me to another mom who had lost her son like the year before, so I was able to go grab coffee with her.
Oh.
And she was my first coffee date post losing Scotty. And I was surprised by the challenge of finding resources and finding the help. At my doctor's office, I asked for a counselor recommendation, and I had gotten photocopies of business cards. And as I started like going through them, most of them weren't in business anymore, or most of them didn't specialize in infant or late pregnancy loss. So it was just it was a lot. It was a lot to try to wade through while being so heavy in grief. But I knew I needed that, and I knew I wanted that. So I was on the hunt.
Right. It sounds like,
Yeah.
but I think the Lord put that on your heart or made you be that kind of person, like wanting that, because I feel like you just, are you normally someone who's just like, before this even happened, were you more like a community mindset, kind of just like you're struggling, like I want to be in there with you? Like, are you someone who likes to like sit with people?
I don't think up until this point I knew even what that meant.
Okay.
I was very much like, I'm praying for you, but not being there with people like how they need to be there. I think it's when you get the text back where it's like, I don't want to talk today. I can't see you. That's when you go, and that's when you sit and like you just drop something off. Or you sitting with them in the dark in their grief it's so different when you've experienced it, because then you know what that person is going through. And those people that did it for me, I will never forget those moments. And I think I truly, until I went through this, I truly didn't know what that meant, being there for others.
All right. Huh. It's just because I do, like, I felt like when I was, I feel like I promised I didn't stalk you for too long on Instagram, Facebook, but I just felt, yeah, like the presence you give on there. I didn't know if this was like just a normal thing. You were always like, oh, I just found myself always wanting to like be with people or like, but this is, you would say, is more contributed to Scotty.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I've always cared for people,
Yeah,
and
well,
I've
yeah.
always wanted to, like, be there, but I don't think I knew the magnitude of, like, when someone's grieving, just what that entails. And I think there is different griefs. I think, I think everyone's grief looks different, but I don't think I knew what it meant to just truly sit in the dark with someone.
All right. Okay. Yeah, look at our kids. They just refine us and bring like they bring out stuff you didn't even know.
Oh my gosh,
Right.
that's true.
All of right.
Yep.
All right.
100%.
Right. That's we love our babies.
Yeah.
Living or in heaven.
Yes.
They all do.
Always. They all leave their marks.
They do, right? Amen to
Stretch
that.
marks and all sorts of marks.
Right. Oh my God. So you're on a mission to find counselors, and then you saw this, I don't know, vacant spot, hole like of service that needed to be done. Is that when you decided to start the Scotty Michael Foundation?
Yeah, that's how we kind of formulated what the Scotty Michael Foundation, how we would start it. And it started with these Scotty boxes, and we wanted to be more bedside. So I wanted other future moms to know that they weren't alone. So, in our box, we start it with a letter, and it's from mom to
Okay.
mom. And it just kind of gives this a little background as far as Scotty and me, and but how like we see you.
Yeah.
You're seen and you're validated in everything that you're feeling at that very moment. So whether or not a mom opens the box like at her bedside, it could be weeks down the road.
Right.
Our goal has always been to just let the mom feel seen at any point in time of her grief. So, early on, later on, whatever. Our goal is to be there. And that's for families as well.
Yeah.
So that was like just our first touch point to just letting the families know that, hey, us too. Like we see you, we feel you, like
Right.
we've been there. And then leaving the hospital with knowing that they have a community that they could outreach to.
Mhm.
So if they wanted to talk, they don't have to go searching for it. There's people right there that will come and meet you where you're at and have that conversation. Maybe it's them not talking very much and it's us just sharing our story so that they
Right.
can hear it and, relate to it and do with it as they need. But most of the time, they want to talk about their babies. They
Right.
want to say their baby's name. They want to talk about their story. And they have people there that want to hear their babies' names, that
Right.
want to hear their stories, and want to give them that validation of their baby, their life, and what they've gone through. It really truly matters, and it takes a lot to kind of stand up and continue on.
Right.
It's not something you ever forget. So that has always been our goal, to make the searching less hard and for people to be able to have that human connection with others that just get it.
Mhm. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that's why I started this podcast, because I believe one thing is people feel like they're in this world. People feel like they're alone. Like,
Yeah.
honest, not even just even if it's losing a child or losing a parent or losing a job or just
Hmm.
suffering from anxiety.
Yeah.
But like, and I love that you sense that you knew you needed it, and you were like, we got to do something about it, because I know there's other people out here that do that that need that kind of talking. And I love also that you open up a space for people. Now, you normally do the coffee. Is that what it is? Is it like, because I remember when I met you at the yeah,
Uh-huh.
that
Yep.
you're like, this is where I normally do my groups and
Yeah.
stuff. So is that what it is? Is just you guys meet like at like a coffee shop?
Yeah, so it's very low key. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like moms meeting for coffee, but we sit around this table and we cry, we laugh, we vent. It's very much just come as you are and say all the things you need to say, because I think there's a lot of therapy in just communicating
Oh yeah.
and just getting that validation that, like, hey, you're like, you don't have to keep it on your head. Like, you can get it out and say the things, and more than likely, actually, all the time, you're going to get a me too from at least one of those moms, if not all of them at any given time.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's just creating that community and creating that space where moms don't have to go home and feel alone and just sit with this grief and never be able to vocalize how they're feeling. So, again, I mean, everyone's different and
Yeah.
how they
Oh yeah.
grieve and what they need. But it's an option there for anyone that needs to take us up on that.
All right. I just love this idea. So I have so many thoughts on this idea. I love it. I love that you've done this. But I think it gives people also, like the moms, to be able to be there for the moms that have lost their child.
Hmm.
And like you said, they're able to talk about, because to me, I think it's bananas that people don't like, and we all deal with grief different. So I don't want to like make anyone feel lesser, like we all,
Yeah.
but like that people don't recognize their children that like passed, that are
Hmm.
stillborn and stuff. Like,
Hmm.
they were still children. They were born into, like, they were still born. You still got to hold him. Like,
Hmm.
you still got to do those things. Like, they're still children. Yes, they are not, you're not taking them to school, but they still like were here.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And you're doing, like, Scotty is changing other people's lives. Like, who doesn't want a child that, like, that's one of
Hmm.
my goals, is for my child to change someone else's life. Like,
Yeah.
and so just that he's being like, yes, he is not with us right now,
Hmm.
and I'm sorry for that. Like, I would want Scotty to be here,
Hmm.
like, but he is also changing people's lives.
Yeah.
and like he's
Yeah.
doing something that like he's not here, but like all moms want their kid to be like
Yeah.
do something cool.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
is. And so
Yeah.
I love that you did that you give space for that, but also that you like my children are here with me and I meet moms for coffee and we talk about our children. And you still give that time, like, it's the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
you're doing like that women still get to have that like experience.
1000%.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, some of the hospitals, they offer these kind of grief groups where you can go and you can talk and do all the things. But I think in the clinical setting, it just, it doesn't open the door to these kind of more human relationships
Right.
as far as like being mom to mom or dad to dad
Yeah.
and just, really diving into just life with each other afterwards. There's women in the group that I probably would have never met if it weren't for Scotty and their babies that they've lost. And getting to have those relationships and meet people and, see their journey past loss and what that looks like has been a huge blessing. And I think typical to a normal mom's coffee group, we
Right.
help each other with the next stage of life. So whatever that looks like, if it's going on to have another baby post loss or and what that journey could look like, because that can go a number of different ways. And it has for a lot of the moms in our group, as far as, adoption, um, IVF, there's a lot of things that come up with it. So being able to support each other and love on each other through these different stages and be there has been huge and great to be able to continue these conversations and relationships.
Right. That just, I mean, it's so cool. And it's like, it's just so like, I just love that, these women, you have turned this pain into like a purpose to like a community, like that. It's just, you're still moms.
Yeah, we're
You
still
know what I
moms.
mean? You're
Yeah.
still, I just
Yeah.
love the idea that you like, 'cause you do make such a valid point. Like there is support groups in the hospital, but hospital just like here is such like a sterile environment. And it can also invoke like the sad, like the remembering of that sadness being in that hospital. Like
Yeah.
I worked in the hospital. I didn't even like going to the hospital and I work at the hospital. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But having sitting down for coffee is something that's like comfort. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, we sometimes drink iced coffee, but still it's just that like comfort and sitting there and just fellowshipping with other women.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and we've had moms that have come who are like, "This isn't my thing. I would have never done this, but I need it." Like, I realize, like,
Yeah.
I'm in a dark place, and I just need to be around other people who can get it. As much as, brothers and sisters and moms and dads wanna be there, it's hard unless you've experienced the same loss and walked a similar path. It's hard to be there for others, and I think that is something that the moms in the group also get. It's
Yeah.
like, everyone tries and everyone has the best intentions, but people say some silly things.
Oh, that's for sure. That
Yeah.
is for sure. I get that totally. So I also noticed with you've done these coffee dates, but you also, right, I guess call them coffee dates. I don't know.
Mhm.
Community.
Yeah.
I noticed you also took it to a different level. And did you partners? I saw you have like retreats or something.
Yeah. So through our foundation, we've met obviously amazing moms, and that has opened the door to us supporting them in their missions for their babies. So we have a foundation called Reagan's Ray of Light Retreat, and that was with another mom that created it with Lauren, Lauren Kersey and her husband. And basically, it's what I like to call, I tell people it's a coffee group on steroids. So, it's a handful of women that get to go and just basically have a whole weekend dedicated to them and their babies. And Lauren's very intentional about it, being super therapeutic and through nature and just beauty and anything of comfort, it's there for them, and just having that time to really be in remembrance of their babies, but also being amongst other moms and having these sessions where they can really truly dive into how they're feeling and how to process it all.
Right. So you guys have like, so it's a coffee date on steroids.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like breakout group? How is it constructed most of the time? Like, is it like little like community circles? Do you have like specific workshops?
Yeah, no, it's very much like a coffee group on steroids. So each mom gets a dedicated 20 to 30 minutes just to talk, and they can
That's,
say anything. Typically, they are sharing their full story
yeah.
of, how they got pregnant and just the journey of their pregnancy through loss and where they are today. So it just gives them that space to like say all the things they need to say. When I first did the retreat, it was the first time that I ever shared a photo of Scotty with other people that weren't my husband or family. So it opens the door to being very clear and direct about where you're at and what your grief is and what you're feeling and all about your baby. But also giving you the space to like hear it, retain the stories, but then go for a walk. Or, Lauren set up a session with yoga last year,
Oh, yeah.
and massages. And, there is that pampering side of it that we want you to feel taken care of while you're there. In tandem with sharing what you need to share. So it's very intentional. We keep it a small group, so that we do have the time and space to do the sharing, but then also doing the pampering as well. So it's something that we've started. We've done 3 of them now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Look at that.
yeah.
That's great. You were saying that while you were at the retreat, it was the first time you showed a picture of Scotty. What made you want to do that? What made you feel to do that?
I think, well, first of all, we do offer that opportunity there, and we do provide photos. So it's a beautiful, almost like a sketch drawing. It's from Etsy, of course, with like a quote, and but you can bring whatever you want, and you can share whatever you need to share. And I think, when we're in the coffee group settings, we're there for 2 hours, and there's typically 5 to 6 women, and we're just like kind of just chatting away.
Yeah.
So, and as you know from any other coffee group, like the conversation can go any which way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think having a designated time to share what you need to share gives you that opportunity to share more. And then you're around women who are really going like into the details of their loss. And so that opens the door to you to do the same.
Yeah.
So I think it's just it felt like the right time and the right opportunity for me to do that. And it was, very comforting in being able to share my baby with others and having them receive him in love. So I think just giving that space and, the further I get from when we had Scotty, the more I realize I'm getting more protective around when and how I share about him.
Really?
Yeah, I think, you get asked the question, how many babies do you have all the time?
Yes.
And I think my husband will 1000% say 3 at all times.
Yeah.
But I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I have 2 at home. And then I'll leave that blank because Scotty has become so sacred to me that I don't want to share it with someone who isn't going to be, it wouldn't be received the way I want him to be received.
Right.
So the retreat is that. It's just being able to share and being in comfort and just releasing whatever you need to release.
Well, shoot, I feel honored that you came here then to talk about Scotty.
Well, we've started a foundation. Of course I'm going to talk about him. But, it's just, in those fast, like, grocery store moments, I've just gotten more protective over when and what.
All right. Plus, I feel like, I haven't had a child loss, but I lost my mom. And just, it's hard to also, like, in a small interaction, to be like, oh, yeah, also because people will ask, like, well, why didn't your mom help with childcare? I'm like, well, my mom's no longer with us. And
Right.
And it just also, like, 1, you have to explain it. 2, I want to say it kills the mood, but it's also, like, then you feel like you have to explain it. And then it makes people feel like they have to, like, to be like, oh, I'm sorry, this. And then it's like, I don't want you to feel like,
Right. I'm not looking for your sympathy.
No.
I just want to be able to share just to share.
Yeah.
But then it does turn to sympathy, and then I'll end up crying. And then it's just like a whole mess, and we're standing in the bread aisle, and I just don't need that right now.
Right. So I understand the thing of, I understand, keeping Scotty more private or closer to your chest.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
have you, during this whole time, from Scotty being born to starting this foundation, what are some things you've learned?
Oh
Because I
gosh.
mean, these children be teaching us stuff on
Not
earth and in
all
heaven.
the time. Yeah.
It's true.
I feel like that's even changing. So, when we first lost Scotty, I felt very much like that Kathleen prior to losing Scotty is gone. Like, I will never see her again. And that had its own grief with it. I was very career driven. The month that I lost Scotty, I was traveling quite a bit for work and going back and forth. And, that made me so sad because then I was like, maybe that stress and that all
Right.
created
We
it.
always think it's,
Always,
oh,
yeah. So, I quit my job after I
okay.
lost Scotty and I went a different direction. And I've just tried to be more intentional as a parent. These babies are such gifts. And like being able to raise Lila and Jackson here on earth, like I don't take that lightly. I want to be a hands-on mom. I want to be so involved in their life. So I think even career decisions since losing Scotty have been changed by the gift of being a mom and how much weight that truly holds. And, I think I realize just how short these childhoods are. And I get to be their mom here and I don't get to raise one of my babies. So like I'm going to take every moment and every opportunity that I have. I'm still working. I'm still like doing that too, but I think I'm just trying to be more level about it and just, that my real job and the job that I get the most value out of and that it's going to bring me so much joy are my children.
Yeah.
So I think just kind of, reevaluating some of that has been a change. And I think just seeing them in their childhoods, I look at it, maybe not, because I don't know. But I think I truly just value them so much. Doesn't mean that we don't have our hard days where like there's complaining.
Children be children, what I mean?
Children be children. Yep. But gosh, I just feel so honored to be their mom, and I just love them, and I just like pour myself into them in all the ways. Maybe as I'm talking, that sounds a little unhealthy in some aspects, but we can table that.
We can table that. It sounds to me that you just realize what like your career is not the most important thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm hearing is not you realize once Scotty passed or that it's your career isn't all of it. Like we have children. The Lord has given us this assignment to raise these children, and they're the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Our time with them is so short compared to, the rest of the world and what we get. But, we only get this little window where they're truly kids and we're responsible for their childhood. So I think the gravity of that has been truly shown to me through all of this.
Right. I would have to. I mean, I love being a parent too. The kids are just the best. Like like you said, we have our hard times. Oh Lord, do we? But it's so having kids is just like they're like legit little people, but it's just like they're so amazing. They like so adaptable. They're so like they're so smart. They just amaze my children. I'm assuming you're like just amaze you. You're just like you are such a great person.
I know.
They're so much better than we are, I think.
Oh, a million times.
Right?
Yeah. 1,000.
So I do have a question I was wondering. So I always tend to use this like pain for purpose. When I say that, what do you feel positive or negative things? Like when you first lost Scotty, or did you ever hear people like, you're going to use this pain for purpose? Like what has it morphed into it? Or like, I'm hoping I'm not triggering you by saying these words.
No.
But I always feel like we say these things to people and stuff. But what does that truly mean to you?
To me, that is beautiful. I think to be able to turn something of heartache and be able to do something positive is a beautiful thing, right? Like that's what we would strive to do.
Yeah.
I think if you can't though, I think that's okay too. I think it's okay to be where you're at and feel the feelings that you're feeling. I think when you're especially just coming out of grief or just experiencing grief, you don't want to hear like it's all in a plan.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
Because
right.
this was not my plan.
Right.
No, thank you. But to be able to hear that, what you're doing is something beautiful for someone else, but
Right.
it's all in the name of, our baby boy.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't take lightly, and I hold it with such honor. So I think that turning pain to purpose is, what we as humans, I think a ton of us do that.
Hmm.
It could be a big thing. It could be a really small thing. It could just be what someone says to someone on the street, or giving a hug. And it might have taken everything in them to give them just that one hug, but they've taken their pain and been able to be there for someone else. So I think, just being able to be there for other human beings
Right.
is really just, it's beautiful.
Right. No, I mean, I think so too. I love it too. Yeah. I mean, that's why the podcast is called Image Bearers, because you're using your story, or I'm having you tell the story, because I feel like you're being there. This story could put words to someone else's like situation,
Yeah.
or just to let them know they're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is just letting people know that they're not alone in whatever they're experiencing. And for us, it's you're not alone in your, late pregnancy and infant loss.
Right.
You're seen and you're so loved.
Right. And I love that. I love that for you. And I love that I was able to have you on the show. And I appreciate, I was going to say love again, but I need to stop saying that because I already used it like 3 times in a row. But I appreciate you coming on the show to talk about, Scotty and the Scotty Foundation. Before I wrap this up, I had just another thought. I noticed that you also have you have the coffee date and you have the retreat that you
Hmm.
partnered with. You also have golf thing, like you guys do. You do
Yeah.
stuff. Is that the only thing that like the guys do, or do you have stuff for like men too? Because it seems like your husband Simhai is like on this mission too.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's 100%. So we've just recently stood up like an official board. So
Okay.
we'll be sharing our board soon, which is super exciting
Ooh.
for us because, it's been my husband and I kind of driving this,
Mhm.
but we need a village. It takes a village to
Right.
raise a
Everything in
child, and it
life.
takes a village for this foundation. So I'm super excited. We have 9 amazing individuals who are joining us in our mission to help drive this and help us guide and maintain what we've done, but also grow it. So the foundation's growing. We do our fundraiser event, which is the golf scramble.
Okay.
We also do Christopher's Corner, which is started by Emily and Ben Tisdale, and they, through the loss of their son. So we have these amazing parents, and we have the same goal to be there for others. So we're growing, but we're trying to really, do what we currently do well, and then seeing where there's some gaps that we can help fill as well.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. So that's what do you have any other aspirations for Scotty Foundation or Scotty Michael Foundation?
Yeah, the ultimate goal, and this is what my
What's your
husband,
dream?
our dream is, when my husband was, in this mind frame that we've got to turn this pain into purpose
Mhm.
right there in the hospital room, like we had just said goodbye to Scotty. Was that, he told me, and I don't know how he thought so far ahead, but he's like, we're going to have this great day. We're going to be out and about, and we're going to just be, really like just enjoying life again or feeling good about life. And he's like, and then we're going to get a hospital bill. It's going to come in the mail and we're going to see it. And that's just going to drive us back down. And he could not have been more right. We went on this beautiful drive, had a lunch. We weren't feeling great, but it was a pretty day.
Mhm.
And we came home and we saw this itemized bill
Oh.
of labor and delivery, of the epidural, of baby care, all the things that, just are gut wrenching when you don't have that baby there to be reminded that this happened and it was terrible. And now, oh, hey, do you mind paying us however
A
many?
whole bunch of money. Yes.
Yeah. So, his goal has always been that we as a foundation would be able to intercept that bill. And instead of a bill, these parents are getting hey, this has been covered by the Scotty Michael Foundation. We see you, we feel you, we're here for you. And that's that. So those are like big pie in the sky
Right.
dreams. Maybe one day we will get there, and we're taking those baby steps. But
Right. Yeah.
there's big plans, there's big future, and we've got a great group of people that want to help guide this same vision.
Right.
So
Yeah, you got
fingers
your
crossed, one day.
I think I believe I will pray on it, but yes,
Thank
definitely. I
you.
believe we'll definitely. I mean, I feel like you guys are definitely doing. I mean, I've only seen the boxes, and then I've heard people talk about you guys and all good things, but and so I think it's definitely possible, and I think that is so beautiful because it is. It's so sad that you guys still get like this bill and all that, and then even like I totally forgot you also have to pay to bury the child
Yeah,
and all
there's
that.
the
Like
funeral fees. Yeah, it's a lot, and for families, who are financially strapped like that,
right,
that can be a painful moment too, and it's just exaggerated by the whole situation. So,
right,
yeah, we
yeah,
would love to be there.
right. Death does not discriminate.
No, it doesn't, unfortunately. No, it does
And
not.
especially, yeah, that would be beautiful. I think you could definitely do it. Like I said, I will pray on that. But I also love that you also include the men with the golf thing. I mean, men love golf and stuff. But
100%. Yeah. And we have, a group of men on our board now that are really
hmm
taking a good look at how they can support and be there for dads
right,
when they leave the hospital too. So
right, because we never really talk about dads and stuff. But that's a whole nother. I mean, that's a
yeah,
whole nother thing because they also lost a son.
they also lose. And then they also have that extra layer of caretaker for the family.
Right,
So, they turn to caretaker for the wife when the wife is just like, hey, I'm
right,
checking out for a little bit.
right.
And they're picking up a lot of slack and putting their own grief on the back burner for a little while. So
hmm
yeah, they have their own stories and their own experiences that, are so different from even just the wife and the mom. So
hmm
yeah, a lot to be told there too.
Has your husband ever, like, had, like, a support group I mean, like, did he ever like, how, like, you meet with women?
Uh-huh.
Has he ever been on his heart to do something like that, or has he met
Yeah.
with, like, guys that have lost?
Yeah, they've gone to Top Golf. So this is where guys and women, like, we're just on some different planets sometimes
Alright,
where they're not going to sit around a coffee table and
yeah.
just
Oh,
like
no.
spill every feeling that they've been having. So, that's been a huge topic of conversation. Like, how do we engage dads
Mhm.
in a way that if they want to share, they can share, but they're not feeling that awkwardness of coming to a coffee room and meeting with random dads and expected to cry. Like,
Right,
because
yeah, because dudes
that's
don't do emotion. I mean,
not a
they
lot
are
of them. Yeah,
trained to not do
yeah,
it, but I think
yeah.
nowadays it's starting to turn around where they're actually like, "We should probably talk about this."
Yes, yeah,
But they're not gonna sit and watch drink coffee. They're gonna I feel
yeah,
like guys have to, like, do an activity to talk about their feelings.
yeah.
Or
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, they have to
100%.
be, like
Yeah,
they can't just, like, how we are right now, just chatting,
yeah,
but they have to be, like, watching the football game or, I guess, Topgolf. But, yeah,
yeah.
continue with what you were saying, they go to Topgolf, is that what you said?
No,
Or
so that's just a mission. So
Uh-huh.
they're on a mission to kind of figure out like how they can get these regularly scheduled meetups, essentially. But yeah, if it's Top Golf, it's a putt, if it's watching a game,
Yeah.
just something that they can all come together on. And even if it's just like, hey, I see you, we might not talk about it, but
Right, yeah.
like I know you've gone through what I've gone through, and I'm not alone in it. So, but the opportunity to speak up and to say something that offers that time and that moment to do so. So more to come, but
Alright.
they're working through all of
Okay.
that.
I didn't mean to put your husband on the spot with being like, "Does he do what you do too?" Or right? But
No,
that's
they're working through it, and I'm actually very proud of them. They've met on it, and they've got a game plan, so
oh,
they're taking action.
well, that's good. That's good to
Yeah.
hear and stuff. So yeah, because we were going through it, and then I was like, "What about the men? What about her
Yeah.
husband?" Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a huge need, probably even more so with the dads and
All
the
right.
women just because, there's become more available, but that's still such like a need and a gap. So,
Mhm. I just love that I mean, there's so much that encompasses the Scotty Michael Foundation. I'm like, your son's your son has created such I keep using the word community because it is community, network community of like just so like I feel like there was such a empty space or like there was a need for it, a big need that like I don't know if it was just like we didn't talk about it back then or like what it
mhm.
is and stuff, but like this is still like a child, you had a loss and stuff, and I love that you have it like a whole encompassing where it's like dudes can meet, women can meet to have coffee and go on a retreat. you get boxed, like you've done so much, and then you have this beautiful, desire and dream to help people like with the bills and stuff like that, because it's like one more thing, and it's something that you
Mm-hmm.
can actually come and like help with and stuff. It's a basic need that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful that the Lord has put this on your heart. I'm sorry, like it's not the best how it happened, but like everything, there's a purpose for things and stuff. And your son's just helping so many people. And
Yeah.
that's just so beautiful that like in that you and your husband, it sounds like more your husband was the first one, but there's always one person that had to plant the seed.
Right.
He's the
Right.
go-getter.
Yes.
We both
Yeah.
can be at first.
Yes. Yeah. No.
But that's wonderful that even before, like you left the hospital, you were like, I have this pain, but this pain isn't going to be like for nothing. And that you
Mhm.
realized it so early
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I think that's part of being a mom and a dad too. It's that, we had this baby and, you want the world to know of your
Hmm.
babies and your love for them. So this is kind of our way of showing our love for Scotty, without him here, but through him. This is just all in love.
All right. And I love that for us.
Yeah, we love love.
We love, 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 love. Just like the Beatles say, all you need is love, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Kathleen, do you have any other thoughts for anybody or any person that's had loss? When do you have your do you still have coffee dates?
Yeah. So you can reach out to me personally. You can join our coffee group One Sip at a Time. And there we have listed out kind of what 2025 looks like as far as meetups. So our first one of the year will be February 2nd.
Okay.
And then essentially we're kind of meeting every other month after that. So feel free to inbox me, reach out, however.
All right. Yeah. No, I will definitely in the show notes and stuff put like your Instagram or Facebook. I'll talk to
Okay.
you and see which one you want to put in there and stuff. But yeah, so people could reach out because I
Yep.
definitely, I mean, not just having you on here to share a story, but like I want to also help you help people and stuff because I think the
Yeah.
story is beautiful. It's redemptive. It's helping people because you aren't alone, and I want people to feel that and stuff. And talking about Scotty and stuff, it's just every person has dignity and worth. Like even your son, who was not with us, but he came here. He is here, and he was born. And so just
Yeah.
I want to celebrate him. And so when is his birthday?
September 22nd. So
September
typically our golf scrambles in September, and that's our big fundraiser. And that's kind of just like our Scotty month.
Uh-huh.
So
All right.
yeah, and his birthday is actually the first day of fall, which I think is just so
Oh, no.
fitting to be a season change.
Right.
So yeah.
That's perfect. 'Cause it's like that's such a relief from the hot like summer, and when fall comes, it's just like
Uh-huh.
And I think like what you're doing is a relief too. So
Yeah.
it pairs with that.
Yeah,
That's
there's
beautiful,
some story behind
right?
that.
Yeah, no,
Huh?
I like to think there was.
Yeah.
It came from the top of my head, but I feel
Yeah.
like there's something to that and stuff
Mhm.
because you're relieving a lot of people of these burdens. Because I feel like, the Bible says that we need to meet in community and share our hardships are because with that it releases something, and also it also lets people talk about their child. You
Yeah.
know what I mean, too.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot, and you go, girl. Go,
Oh,
Scotty
thank you.
Michael Foundation, too.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to
Yes.
speak about them.
Thank you so much for coming on, and I'll definitely link your foundation, and so people can get a hold of you if they want to. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys. Again, this is Image Bearers with Lacey Connor. Bye.